pas de soleil, pas de soleil, pas de soleil.
Learning how to draw as an adult is not easy at all. I bought my very first sketchbook at the age of 20. I'm now 28 and it's been one hell of a journey, but we've covered that already. Before I dive in, hello, my name is Julie. I'm a Canadian amateur artist, currently unemployed, and I post art-related videos here on YouTube, like this one, and that one, and this one. While learning how to draw in your adult years can feel scary and impossible, there are also some upsides to it. And this is what I want to talk about in this video. I think a lot of advice out there comes from experienced artists, plenty of whom have been drawing every single day since they were these tiny little things. And it really does make sense to take advice from these experts when it comes to technical drawing and painting skills. But a lot of them are so far removed from the experience of being a beginner artist that I personally find their beginner-specific art advice hard to relate to. And that's where I come in. I'm here to use my amateur artist title and experience to give you something to connect with, because I've been there, and I'm still working through the highs and lows of learning how to art. So sticking to the title of this video, I'm going to switch between the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is learning how to draw as an adult. First of all, the good. Embracing your creative side later in life, especially when you've never recognized yourself as a creative person, is genuinely life-changing. Yeah, we're starting off strong. It really is such a special thing to pick up a new skill where you didn't think you had any expertise in. It opens up your mind to a whole new world full of questions like, what else am I capable of? And what sides of myself haven't I explored yet? It opens up your mind to a world of possibilities and makes you rethink what you're capable of. It's so easy for us to travel through life and put ourselves into these boxes labeled with our skills and personalities, and to also define ourselves by these boxes. Before learning how to draw, there wasn't even an inch of me who felt like a creative person. In my mind, that just wasn't my identity. But once I started learning art, I started to view myself from a different lens. I became a creative person. I stepped into that and fully embraced it. It was such a monumental thing that it opened me to jobs I never thought I'd pursue, and also living in a country I didn't think I'd ever set foot on. I talk about this in more detail in a previous video that I'll leave below in the description. But once you realize how dynamic your identity can be, nothing can really hold you back. This was my experience, at least. I began to question my personality traits and what I was capable of, to the point where it gave me the courage to step out of my box and try a ton of new things. Working at an art center, taking pottery classes, learning how to salsa, and the big one, working as a teacher in South Korea for 2 years without any previous teaching experience. I wouldn't be brave enough to do any of these things had I not initially picked up that Walmart sketchbook back in 2016. And I will tell you right now that this pro outweighs all of the cons I will talk about in this video. If you're feeling down on yourself as a beginner adult artist, remember that you are doing something amazing by trying something new. It's hard and scary and endlessly frustrating, but there's so much good that comes out of it. And that goes for picking up any skill or hobby in our adult years. Also, I moved my birds to the other room, but you could still hear them because they are loud as heck. So I hope it's not distracting. I hope it's like relaxing background nature music. Anyways, next is resources. As an adult, unlike when you're a child and you have to beg your parents to buy art supplies, or in my case, work the paper route to get the things I wanted back then, you will hopefully have more resources to invest into your art. You can buy whatever supplies you want to experiment with. You can take art classes if you please. Or if you're a broke adult, hello, nice to meet you, you're old enough to travel to, say, the local library and take out some art tutorial books. I'm not sure how community centers work in the States or elsewhere, but here in Canada, they offer tons of affordable art classes in watercolor, oil, acrylic, fiber arts, and so much more. A lot of community centers also have programs for children and low-income folk, so you can take these classes at a steep discount if you qualify. As an adult, you're smart enough to do some digging to find the resources you need within your means. You're also familiar with your own style of learning, so you can more easily seek out teachers or online tutorials that are well suited to you to increase your level of success in your art development. As an adult, you also have more control over your space. You're hopefully no longer sharing a room with your little sister. You can set up an art nook somewhere. You have full autonomy to arrange your art corner so that it's surrounded by inspiration in a way that makes you want to sit down and paint. Finally, learning how to draw as an adult helps you to regain a sense of childhood wonder. It truly is liberating to be bad at something as an adult. Especially if you're like me and you're a bit of a perfectionist, being bad at art is an outlet in itself. If you know that something won't turn out great before you even put pencil to paper, you're more keen to experiment and have fun with it and not take it so seriously. Now let's move on to the bad. Dun dun dun. Time, or the lack of. As adults, we got jobs to work and bills to pay. We have familial obligations to our parents or kids or both. It can leave you itching to sit down and paint something, as well as leave you deflated when you don't have the time or energy to pursue your newly discovered creative flair. This can be deeply discouraging. When I was living in Korea, I had a very demanding job with a long commute. I took work home with me for like the first 6 months, and I was surrounded by so many new things, it was a bit overwhelming to find my footing. By the time I got home on my longer commute days, it was already 7 p.m., which didn't leave much time for going to the gym, cooking, tidying, and getting ready for bed, let alone taking out my sketchbook. I can't imagine you folks with little kids running around. How do you do it? Seriously, major props to you. I could hardly take care of myself, let alone another person. Time is the one thing we can't seem to get enough of. Though, when we were children, it felt like we were swimming in all the time in the world. As adults, we also tend to be a bit apprehensive when it comes to trying new things. We embarrass a lot more easily. We're harder on ourselves than when we were kids. Children are just happy to draw anything. They don't care if their art is good or bad. They don't care if their proportions are wonky or that their colors aren't right. They just enjoy the process of drawing. As adults, on the other hand, this can be a really difficult place to get to. We are so critical of ourselves, and it can lead us to be our own source of discouragement. It is a lot harder to just let go and draw or paint anything and be proud of yourself, despite how bad a piece turns out. We simply hold ourselves to higher standards, and that carries through to everything we do, even if we know that we should go easy on ourselves. Old habits are just really hard to break. When I was just starting out, I created a ton of ugly pieces that I now look back at fondly. For the record, I think it's totally fine to call your art ugly. You can quote me on this. I do not believe that all art is beautiful in its own right. I don't believe it. Because y'all, I've created some ugly ass pieces in my time, objectively, but I genuinely love everything I've created for the sole reason that all of it has led me to where I'm at today. All of my old artwork, especially in that very first Walmart sketchbook, just represents so much more than the art itself. So I just love all of it. Don't be afraid to call your work ugly. Admit it, laugh about it. It can really help to alleviate some of that pressure. My advice to you, if you're stuck in a loop of creating work you're not proud of and drowning in discouragement because of it, is to take a break from the art you're working on. Draw or paint simple things. Go back towards your comfort zone. For me, when starting out, it was copying fan art that I enjoyed. Simple sketches mostly. When you're seemingly creating one bad piece after another, sometimes you just really need a win. And if that for you is drawing cute, simple cats or following a very easy art tutorial on YouTube, just do it. Create something, anything that you're proud of, even if it's small, even if it's copied. Obviously, don't pass it off as your own if you do copy something, but this can do wonders to raise your spirits. And when you're in a better mood and a better headspace, maybe the next piece will turn out a bit more to your liking. I've been drawing and painting for 7.5 years, and granted, during this time, I've gotten months upon months of not creating art at some points. But even to this day, my ratio of good to bad art is like 50-50, even 40-60 during a bad art week. But when I was just starting, I was at like a 5% happy rate. And the 5 that carried me through to where I'm at today was copied Miraculous Ladybug fan art. It wasn't even my own stuff. If you need a win, take a win wherever you can get one to propel yourself through the process of learning. And finally, the ugly. Ooh, my heart is hurting just thinking about this. PTSD. It is heartbreaking to love something so much, e.g. drawing and painting, but for that very thing to be the source of so much frustration and self-loathing. Learning how to draw as an adult can very well result in the most passionate love-hate relationship with your artwork. During the first 3 years of learning, there were some days where I hated my art and art in general. Yes, hate is a strong word, but that is how I felt. I resented that I learned this new skill that I so badly wanted to be good at, but just wasn't. Making an art piece takes a lot of time, so to pour hours or days into something and to have it be so visually disappointing to you can be a soul-crushing experience. You can love art when starting out, but when you're a right beginner, art doesn't love you back. It can throw you a bone here and there, but that's all it'll give you. It's a roller coaster, and if you grow to truly love the process of creating, it can be a very emotional experience when your skill level isn't where you want so desperately for it to be. The highs are especially high, but the lows are very, very, very low. The number of times I've made the decision to just give up is astounding, but something would always pull me back in. I think the longest I've gone without touching my sketchbook was about 8 months, and that was littered between 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months of hiatuses. But I'm so happy that every time I took a break, I didn't give up on it. Art has become a part of me. I've accepted that. It's something that I'll always be drawn to. But even to this day, I have periods of being really unhappy with my art. Though now it doesn't affect me like it did before. Over time, I've learned that bad art is part of the process. We learn from our mistakes. We practice, we grow in our abilities, and I know myself and my skills well enough to understand that a piece I'm proud of will be around the next corner. That's just how it goes. Bad art teaches you what to focus on for the future. Though when it all feels like bad art, it can be hard to narrow down a focus to improve on. At this point in time, I can see where I've gone wrong in my bad art. I've built the ability after creating countless ugly pieces. All I can say is to take a break from your art when you need it. A few weeks, maybe even a few months. If it starts to get discouraging to the point where it's affecting your self-worth, it really isn't worth that. Step away, and when you're ready, it will call back to you. If you're learning how to draw just for the fun of it, make sure it's actually fun. You really have to enjoy the process of learning, and you just can't put too much pressure on yourself. What's the rush, right? This is a tough one to give advice on because I understand firsthand how 10 bad art pieces in a row can really bring you down. Just understand when it might be the right time to take a break and take care of yourself. Don't compare yourself and your growth to anyone else's. You are on your own timeline and yours alone. Focus on you. Overall, learning how to draw was revolutionary for me, and I hope it is for you too. Congratulations on picking up a new hobby as an adult. This act alone is so many things. Thrilling, discouraging, uplifting, frustrating, and everything in between. And it's definitely not for the faint of heart. Be proud of yourself and know that I'll be here cheering you along your journey. Finally, let me know how your coming-of-age art story has been, how long you've been pursuing art, how you manage the ups and downs that come with it, and what you love about the journey. Thank you so much for watching. I plan to upload more videos tailored to beginner artists in the future because I think it's so important to have someone you can relate to when diving into something new. So subscribe if you enjoyed this. There'll be more to come, along with my usual DIY art supply videos, thrifting for art supplies, and just chatting about the highs and lows of art and life. Like this video as well. I'm trying to get back into the YouTube Partner Program, so I'd really appreciate any form of engagement. Take care, keep your head up, and as always, stay creative. See you next week.